Hello from Halifax. This is Jo with Jo to the World Creations, and today we're going to make my round moss stitch baskets crochet pattern. I'm really excited to share this crochet basket pattern with you, and we're going to be getting right to the video tutorial. This pattern comes in 3 sizes, and all the details for each size and everything you need to know about this pattern, including the hook size, amount of yarn required, and the step-by-step written instructions, are all available for free on my website, or you can purchase the ad-free print-ready PDF, and there are links to both in the description below this video. All right, let's get started. With 2 strands of yarn held together, just treating them as one, we're going to start by making a magic circle. There's lots of different ways to make a magic circle. I'm going to show you how I do it. With the tail of your yarn facing you, wrap your yarn around your 2 fingers to form an X. Pick up your hook and put your hook under the bottom part of the X, and then grab the top part of the X and bring it under. Now twist up to form a loop, and now pick up that top part of the X again and bring it through the loop on your hook. And now you have a magic circle. I like to just take these ends out of the circle. And now we're ready to start. For round 1, all sizes, we're going to begin by chaining 1. Now we're going to make 10 half double crochet stitches into this magic circle. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the magic circle, pull up a loop, yarn over, and bring that yarn through all 3 loops on our hook. We've just made 1 half double crochet stitch, and we're going to make a total of 10. There's my second. You go ahead and make 10 half double crochet stitches into the magic circle and come back to the video. With 10 half double crochet stitches now complete, we're going to pull the magic circle tight to close. So you just pull on the end to close the circle, tighten everything up, and now we're going to join the round by slip stitching into the top of the first half double crochet stitch that we made in this round. So the first of 10, we're going to insert our hook into both loops and slip stitch into the top of that. We're not going to be working into the chain 1 that we made at the very beginning of this round. So to join the round, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet stitch to join. For round 2, all sizes, we are going to start by chaining 1. We are not going to turn. We are always going to be working into the very first stitch, unless instructed otherwise. So later down the road in this pattern, there'll be times when we don't work into this first stitch, but unless instructed otherwise, you're always going to make your first stitch into the stitch that's attached to the chain. So it's the same stitch that you just slip stitch into. This will be the first stitch that you work into. Into this first stitch, we're going to make 2 half double crochet stitches into the first stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the first stitch, and make your first half double crochet stitch. And now let's make another in the same stitch. We have 2 half double crochet stitches now completed. We're going to make 2 half double crochet stitches in each stitch all the way around. So you simply make 1 half double crochet stitch and then another into the same stitch, and you're going to do that in each stitch all the way around. When you're nearing the end of the round, come back to the video and we'll join the round together. I'm almost finished round 2. I have 1 stitch left to work into. I wanted to point out a couple tips if you're having trouble wondering which is the last stitch. One option is that you can place a stitch marker in the top of the first stitch that you make in a round, which will help you count your stitches. Or if you can easily identify which one is the first stitch. So this is the first stitch that we made in the round, and beside it is the chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. So you can easily count your stitches to make sure you have the right number of stitches and know whether or not this is the last stitch to work into. So I've counted my stitches. I have 18 half double crochet stitches completed so far. So I know I need to make 2 more to complete round 2, because we're going to have a total of 20 at the end of this round. So working into the last stitch, I'm going to make 2 half double crochet stitches. And then if you haven't done so already, count your stitches and make sure you have a total of 20 stitches, and you can count them by identifying the tops of the half double crochet stitches. So that's our first stitch, second, third, etc., all the way around, and then count your last stitch. Do not count the chain 1. So make sure you have 20 stitches. And then to join the round, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet stitch that we made in the round to join. To start round 3, we are going to chain 1. We are not going to turn. We're always going to work into this first stitch unless instructed otherwise. For this round, the instructions for the round say to make 2 half double crochet stitches in the first stitch or the next stitch, which in our case is the first stitch, and then 1 half double crochet stitch in the next stitch. So let's do this together. In the first stitch, we're going to make 2 half double crochet stitches. And in the next stitch, we're going to make 1 half double crochet stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So in the next stitch, make 2 half double crochet stitches. There's 1, 2, and then in the next stitch, make 1 half double crochet stitch. You go ahead and repeat this. 2 half double crochet stitches in the next stitch, 1 half double crochet stitch in the next stitch, all the way around, and then come back to the video and we'll finish the round together. I'm almost finished round 3. I have 2 more stitches to work into, so I'm continuing to repeat those instructions all the way around. So my next stitch will be 2 half double crochet stitches into the second last stitch, and then into the last stitch, half double crochet, just 1. At the end of this round, you should have a total of 30 stitches. So go ahead and make sure you have a total of 30, and then we're going to join by making a slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet stitch that we made in the round. Exact measurements are not really important for this pattern, but just for reference, my work at this point measures approximately 3.75 inches across. To start round 4, for all sizes, we're going to chain 1. We're going to work into the first stitch and make 2 half double crochet stitches into this first stitch. Now we're going to make 1 half double crochet stitch in the next stitch and 1 half double crochet stitch in the next stitch. So 1 half double crochet stitch in the next, and then 1 half double crochet stitch in the next. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So in the next stitch, make 2 half double crochet stitches into the same stitch. in the next stitch, make 1 half double crochet stitch, and in the next stitch, 1 half double crochet stitch. Repeat that all the way around and then come back to the video and we'll finish the round together. I'm nearing the end of the round. I have 3 stitches left, so I'm just going to make this repeat one last time. So in the next stitch, 2 half double crochet stitches. In the next stitch, 1 half double crochet stitch. And in the next stitch, 1 half double crochet stitch. At the end of this round, you should have a total of 40 stitches, and we're going to finish the round by slip stitching into the top of the first half double crochet stitch to join. If you are making the small size basket, at this point, do not fasten off, but jump ahead to the basket sides instructions and begin working on the sides from this point in the pattern for the small size only. For the medium and large sizes, the pattern continues in a very similar way. Each round starts with a chain 1 and we don't turn. We always work into the very first stitch and follow the instructions for that round. And it always starts with making 2 half double crochet stitches into the first stitch. The only difference between the rounds is how many half double crochet stitches you should make before you make 2 half double crochet stitches again. So in round 5, we're going to make a half double crochet stitch in each of the next 3 stitches, and then make 2 half double crochet stitches in the next stitch, and followed by half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. When we move on to round 6, you're going to do the same thing, make 2 half double crochet stitches in the first stitch, and then you're going to make a half double crochet stitch in each of the next 4 stitches. And then you're going to do that repeat all the way around, make 2 half double crochet stitches, and then 1 half double crochet stitch in each of the next 4 stitches. For round 7, you'll be working in the next 5 stitches. For round 8, you'll be working the next 6 stitches, and it continues in this fashion. Hopefully at this point you've got the hang of the pattern. Just follow along with the written instructions, and it clearly states when you should end for the medium size and the large size, and when you should begin the basket sides instructions. Now we're going to work on the basket sides. The round numbers are now going to reset to make it easier to count rounds from the bottom up. A note that the top of the bottom that we just completed will continue to face up as we work on the sides. For round 1 of the basket sides, for all sizes, we are going to chain 1 and turn. The first stitch that we're going to work into is the top of the last half double crochet stitch that we completed when we finished the bottom. The stitch that's attached to the chain is actually the slip stitch that joined the round, so we're not going to work into this slip stitch. The first stitch is the last half double crochet that you completed. For this round, we are going to be working into the back loops only. These are the loops that are furthest away from you. So normally when we crochet, we insert our hook under the top 2 loops, but for this round only, we're going to be working into the back loops. So we're going to insert our hook under the back loops and then crochet as we normally would. So we'll be inserting our hook under the back loops only of each stitch around. And that first stitch is this half double crochet stitch. We'll be working into the back loop only of this first stitch to begin. Not working into the slip stitch, but into the next stitch, which is the top of the last half double crochet. We're going to single crochet in the back loop only. So I'm inserting my hook under the back loop and then single crocheting normally. And we're going to do this all the way around, working into the back loop only, single crochet. And you just simply do this in each stitch around. The only difference between the sizes is your number of stitches that you will have at the end of the round, which is indicated in the written instructions. So single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch around and come back to the video. I am nearing the end of the round. I have 2 stitches left to work into. Nothing special happens. I'm still going to single crochet into the back loops only of each stitch around. So that was my last stitch. To join the round, we're going to slip stitch under both loops of the top of the first single crochet stitch that we made in the round. So inserting our hook under the top loops, both loops, and then we're going to slip stitch. So working into the top of the first single crochet stitch that we made in the round under both loops, slip stitch to join. For round 2, which is the same for all sizes, we're going to start by chaining 1. We are not going to turn. We're also not going to work into the first stitch, which is the stitch that's attached to the chain. We're going to work into the next stitch and into the next stitch, and from now on we'll work into both loops. We're going to single crochet. So working into the next stitch under both loops, single crochet. We are going to place a stitch marker, our first of 2 stitch markers, into the top of the first single crochet stitch that we just made. I've put my first stitch marker, mine's purple, into the top of that first single crochet stitch that we just made. I want to point out that when we go to join the round, we're going to be joining in with a slip stitch in between that single crochet stitch that we just made and our chain 1. Remember how we skipped a stitch? This creates a chain 1 space that we are going to slip stitch into when we join the round. We are going to be making a lot of chain 1 spaces in this round because we're going to be chaining 1 and either working into the next stitch or skipping the next stitch and working into the following stitch, and both of those are going to count as chain 1 spaces, and I'll show you exactly what this means in the next round. Why we do this and we don't just always skip a stitch and work into the next stitch is because we want our basket sides to stand up straight. And I found if I always skipped a stitch and then single crocheted in the next stitch, the sides caved in. So this round is a bit of a foundation round, so to ensure that our sides of our baskets stand up straight. What we'll be doing first is chaining 1. So make a chain 1 stitch. And we are going to single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch. So we're not going to work into the next stitch. Into the stitch after that, the next stitch, we are going to single crochet. We're going to do that same thing again, which means chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the following stitch, single crochet. Now we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to chain 1 and skip the next stitch, working in the next stitch, single crochet. This is now what we're going to be repeating all the way around. We're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch. So in the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to repeat these set of instructions a total of 2 times. So chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the next stitch, single crochet. That's completing the instructions in brackets a total of 1 time, but we're going to do it twice. So chain 1, skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch, single crochet. And that completes the set of instructions in brackets twice. Then we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the next stitch. And finally, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch, single crochet. So you're going to repeat those instructions all the way around. You go ahead and do that and then come back to the video. I am nearing the end of round 2, and I thought I'd show you how the round ends. Nothing special happens. We continue to repeat those steps that we've been doing all the way around, but I just thought it might be helpful so you can see especially the last few stitches. So for the last repeat, we are going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to be repeating these instructions twice. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, in the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and in the next stitch, which is going to be our last stitch, we're going to single crochet into that stitch for the final single crochet stitch of the round. So skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, which in this case is the last stitch. At this point, count your stitches and only count the single crochet stitches that you made all the way around, and the written instructions has the exact number of single crochet stitches you should have in this round. Once you're sure you have the correct number of stitches, to finish the round, we're going to chain 1. To join, we are going to slip stitch into the first chain 1 space. This is the space between the first single crochet stitch that we made in the round, which is the stitch with the stitch marker, and then in between that single crochet stitch and the chain 1 that we made. So we're going to slip stitch into this chain 1 space here to join. So insert your hook right near the stitch marker and then slip stitch to join. Next, we're going to start round 3, and round 3 is what we're going to be repeating for the rest of the pattern. We are going to start by chaining 1 and turning our work. Round 3 is a wrong side round, which means that the inside of our work is now facing us. But when we go to do the next round, we're also going to turn, and then in that case, the right side of our work will be facing us. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing we'll do is work into the first chain 1 space. And this is the space between where you just made your slip stitch and our chain 1, our turning chain, and the last single crochet stitch that you completed in the previous round. Into this first chain 1 space, we're going to insert our hook and single crochet. And if you have troubles finding this first chain 1 space, it's the space next door to the space with the stitch marker. So there's only one thing in between these two spaces, and this is our first chain 1 space. So working into this first chain 1 space, we're going to single crochet. And we're going to place a new stitch marker in the top of that single crochet stitch that we just completed. Now we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the next chain 1 space. And we're going to be chaining 1 and then single crochet in the next chain 1 space all the way around. The chain 1 space is this space here between 2 single crochet stitches and underneath a chain 1 from the previous round. Feel free to pull your work apart a little bit so you can see that space, and it's between the 2 single crochet stitches underneath the chain 1, and you're going to insert your hook into that space and then single crochet. So I've chained 1, working into the next chain 1 space, single crochet. Chain 1, working into the next chain 1 space, which again is between, there's my single crochet stitch under a chain 1 that we made, and beside the next single crochet stitch, we'll work into the next chain 1 space. Some of these spaces are a little tighter than the others because we didn't always skip a stitch, and it's going to get much easier to see where these chain 1 spaces are as the basket grows. So this round might be a little tricky. That's why I'm trying to go slow so you can see exactly where to make your stitches. So working into this chain 1 space, we're going to single crochet. Just make sure you've always made a chain 1, and then single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and again working into the next chain 1 space. Feel free to pull that work apart. You can see the 2 single crochet stitches on either side, and then work under the chain 1 to make a single crochet stitch. Then chain 1, and you're going to do that all the way around. Simply inserting your hook into each chain 1 space, then single crocheting and chaining 1. So you go ahead and do that all the way around, and come back to the video when you're nearing the end of the round, and we will do the end of the round together. I have just arrived at my last chain 1 space, and I want to show you exactly where I'm going to single crochet into. Why I wanted to leave this first stitch marker in is to show you that this is not where we work into. The place where the first stitch marker is, we do not work into. The last chain 1 space is the space between the last 2 single crochet stitches. So you don't work into the space with that stitch marker. You're going to make one last single crochet stitch in between these 2 single crochet stitches and under that chain 1. So make sure that you've chained 1 before making your last single crochet stitch, and then work into the last chain 1 space and single crochet. At this point, count your stitches to ensure you have the correct number of single crochet stitches only. Remember, don't count chains or spaces, and the written instructions has the exact number of single crochet stitches you should have for each size. We can now remove the stitch marker from the previous round. We're going to leave the stitch marker that we put in the first stitch of this round in place for now. So we're going to remove the stitch marker. Now we are going to chain one, and we're going to slip stitch into the first chain one space, which is the space between the single crochet stitch that we have the stitch marker in and the chain one that we made that started the round. So into this space here, we're going to slip stitch. And once again, we're going to leave this stitch marker in place because it's going to help us determine where that last chain one space is in the next round. The rest of the pattern is repeating round 3 until you reach your desired height. I've put the exact number of rounds for each size in the written instructions, but let's do it one more time to ensure you have the hang of it. So we're repeating round 3, but we're actually going to be doing round 4. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. Into this first chain 1 space here, we are going to single crochet. And we're going to put a stitch marker in the top of that first stitch. Now we are going to chain 1, working into the next chain 1 space. I find they're so much easier to see from now on. We're going to single crochet. Chain 1 in the next chain 1 space, single crochet. Chain 1 in the next chain 1 space, single crochet. Chain 1, and in the next chain 1 space, single crochet. You go ahead and do this all the way around. Come back to the video when you're nearing the end of the round and we will join it together. I've just arrived at the last chain 1 space. I've chained 1 here, and then I'm going to single crochet into the last chain 1 space, which is the space before this place where the stitch marker from the previous round is that we don't work into. So we're going to single crochet in this last chain 1 space right here. Working into that last space, make sure you've chained 1 before you do this, and then single crochet. At this point, count your single crochet stitches all the way around to make sure you have the correct number, and now you can remove the stitch marker from the previous round. To finish the round, we are going to chain 1, we're going to slip stitch in between the first single crochet stitch and the chain 1 that we made. So working into that space, slip stitch to join the round. And you'll keep repeating that round, which is repeating round 3 until you reach your desired height for your basket. Once you've reached your desired height, fasten off and with your yarn needle, weave in all your loose ends. And now you have a new basket. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy making these baskets. I'd love to see them. I'm here if you have any questions or if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.